Hi, it's Joy and Jane going to be watching Batwoman Season 2, Episode 1, What Happened to Kane. So this episode is going to be huge, because I'm honestly, I don't know how I'm feeling. I would like to start by saying I'm so excited for the new Batwoman. I think she looks amazing. I've only heard wonderful things about her from the cast, from people that have seen the episode, like preview news people, so I think she's going to be brilliant. My reservations have nothing to do with her, but purely to do with the fact that Kane was such an integral part of this show. I mean, she was one of my favourite characters. I know that was a fairly uncommon opinion apparently, but it would be kind of like season 1 of Arrow after that, being like, oh, Oliver Queen's not in it anymore, and now Roy's good, or now some new person's coming in and they're going to be the Green Arrow. At that point in the show, I'm like, I'm going to miss her relationship with Mary, I'm going to miss her relationship with her dad, as awful as that was in a lot of ways, her relationship with Alice, her relationship with Luke. You know, Kane was so integral to most of the relationships, and I was so rooting for her. Mary's sisterhood coming good, and yeah, I'm really sad that we have not only lost the development of Kate as a character, but lost the development of her relationships. And I'm also quite sad because, you know, these characters are going to be worried about her, mourning her, not sure what's happened to her, and yeah, that is emotional. So I think in some ways the show has lost a lot, but I think they had plenty of forewarning that they will hopefully have been able to create something special out of it, kind of give the show a new lease of life, maybe fix things people didn't like. I loved Kate, so I'm not one of those people, and maybe it's kind of gonna give the other characters a chance to shine while also bringing in this new character. Also have slight reservations just because it's season 2, and are we going to be in a position where the main characters don't know each other very well and they don't have those bonds? I always like it once the bonds have been formed, but you know what, I'm going to get to watch those bonds get formed again, hopefully. And yeah, I am really excited, even though I am quite sad as well, if that does make sense. But I have been looking forward to Batman Season 2. I think it was actually my favourite Arrowverse show last year. I know, that was another uncommon opinion. I always love Supergirl. Kara will always be my favourite Arrowverse character, but Supergirl itself has been slipping for me as a show. I still love it, it's still my favourite Arrowverse show, but Batwoman had the strongest season in my opinion last year, so I'm really excited to see what happens in this episode. I think this is new since I've been doing Batwoman reactions, but I have a Patreon. You can find all of my reactions unedited up on my Patreon, including Batwoman, and you can vote in polls, you can vote for new things, and for shows like Clone Wars, Umbrella Academy, Fargo that I am watching on Patreon, that aren't currently airing, you can get the unedited version 2 weeks early, and then you can also get the edited versions 1 week early. But as Batwoman is currently airing, you just get the unedited but same day, whereas YouTube has the edited. Hope that makes sense. And yeah, let us go! There was so much story left to tell with Kate. I am kind of someone that thinks my first choice would have been just recasting and making a joke about how her hair looked different. But I'm gonna love the new character, hopefully. I mean, she's made it homely.
Are you ready for a new life?
What went wrong? Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh wow. Oh no. Oh, her instinct is to help. That is the good sign in a superhero. So Kate is literally just going missing now. Crap. Oh, she's trying to find someone to help. I love that instinct. Oh. Oh, she saved this guy.
Why isn't she answering? So she's en route. Explains why she hasn't gotten any.
Was it the plane that crashed?
Except she was set to land 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, is this the plane that crashed? Was Kate on the plane that crashed? Oh my god.
What?
She's not dead. That I refuse. She was not. Her body won't be found on the plane, right? Oh no, because I don't want them to think she's dead.
Where is Kate's plane?
Oh. Just a Batwoman suit. Yeah, for some reason Kate got off the plane, right? I'm stressed. Because if they kill Kate, I'm not okay with that, like, at all.
I am not leaving here without my daughter.
Sir,
Oh, Sophie too.
we'll look together.
Oh, there's nothing worse. Especially, you know, I have my issues with Jacob Kane, but he's already lost one of his daughters once, and technically twice because she's Alice, and now losing Kate as well. And now Alice, does she know Kate was on that plane? Fuck everything. And she didn't get to have her revenge on Kate.
Let's find Kate, and I'll tell you three all about it.
No, it's not Bruce.
I should check in, but
You
I
should.
don't want to leave.
Oh, I just lost so much already.
We'll stay in touch. See the back cave.
Yeah.
No.
Remember the honors?
Luke.
You've been the man of the castle for some time.
No, don't fall for it, please.
Lead on.
No. I mean, it would have been a bit much if we'd figured it out in the first episode, in like
Old
the
times, right?
first act, but still. Oh, I hate this so much.
No one cares that the dope wasn't mine, or that the crows
Oh.
were dirty, or that I'm actually a decent human.
Oh my god, so she was.
I'm a
Oh,
file
fuck.
in your cabinet of powerless.
I love this because she's the polar opposite of, in a way, Kate. Like, Kate cared about stopping injustices like that, but she came from such a place of privilege. And lost, too.
Do you believe that?
Nope. Whatever happened, I do not believe it was a random attack.
Days ago, who's to say she didn't have the same photographs of her?
I mean, it's intriguing because whatever happened, I choose to believe Kate's alive. But we need to know, like, what happened. See, I truly do believe this man cares about his daughters for all of his many faults. He's really, like, the acting just gets me because, like, even though he drives me insane a lot of the time, I just want to cry whenever he gets emotional about them. No, Mary.
The same people who convinced you to stop looking for Beth when she went missing?
Exactly.
We can't listen to them.
How is this happening all over again?
I know, but you just need to keep fighting. This is why I hate that they didn't just recast Kate. But it's making for powerful emotions, but still.
You and I'm not gonna lose hope. And I'm not gonna let you lose it either.
I love her so much. Oh.
We could destroy one stupid piece of kryptonite before it got into the wrong hands.
Oof. Fuck everything. I'm glad she's the exact same size as Kate. I do love you. I'm still sad about Kate not being here. Oh god. Oh, and they're gonna hear reports that Batwoman was sighted and think it was Kate and be like, she's alive. She needs to practice more with the tools of the trade. Oof.
Kate.
No, it's not Kate. Kate's alive because I refuse anything else.
Sorry, legit didn't mean that.
I was going to ensure Commander Kane found it.
Ah,
The scene would bring them together. Batty would get caught
Yep.
in his crosshairs. He had killed his own.
his perfect revenge. Her perfect revenge even on him.
Alas,
Yep. Alice is a remorseless villain.
For no reason at all.
And she knows I won't stop until I find the truth.
Maybe let Julia find it and then if she judges that Kate wouldn't mind you seeing it. Luke and Mary, oh, they're gonna get crushed. Oh.
No. And you sure as hell don't know anything about that symbol.
Trust me, I know.
I can see where she's coming from, but at the same time.
Exactly.
She's just one of 250,000 murders in this country who have not seen justice. And that is a number I can't live with. So you can have this damn suit back when her killer is dead.
She's getting better at it. She has a point, but at the same time, like, don't just kill the killer, get the killer arrested. But I get why, when it's someone you love, your opinion is going to be just destroy them. There's a dark path to go down, though.
Terrorist.
Batwoman. I scared her away.
I'm referring to Alice. How?
Oh, I forgot Batwoman's a terrorist. He's doing whatever he has to stay as Bruce Wayne, and I hate it so much. Oh.
Well, he's at home in Glasgow. Same little cottage in the woods.
I'm buzzing me, Sap.
Yes, she's figured it out. She's figured it out.
Circles and figure out where she lives.
The Kane
Oh,
family
it's
is
something
renting
to
56
focus
a
on.
Riverside penthouse, a gay bar that she called a safe haven for anyone looking for their family.
At her sentencing,
Yeah.
the judge said that Ryan had been
That was
on the
Kate.
right track thanks to the woman who adopted her.
What the hell is this?
It was Alice.
I don't know, they just showed up.
We need to get out of here now.
It was Alice, so she has a connection to Alice. Alice doesn't have a connection to her.
Alice in Wonderland, Kane.
Oh. There was nothing you could have done to save her. You did everything you could.
You're right, Mama. Her mom died in her arms. She wants justice.
Yeah. Mary can relate to her.
Hey,
Even Luke can kind of relate too.
I was the one hell-bent on destroying the kryptonite.
Oh, Luke, it's
She
not
didn't
your
even want to do
fault.
it, and I pushed.
Luke, that is not what happened. You didn't do anything wrong. Okay?
At least I still have them.
Look here. What would Kate say if she knew you were blaming yourself?
She
No, things are usually her fault.
so true.
She'd tell you that there'd be no Batwoman without Luke Fox.
I am already extremely attached to Ryan. Oh, she's trying to. Oh. Yeah.
And who better to masquerade as Bruce Wayne than the person who's been obsessed with him his entire life?
Uh-huh. Oh no! This is awesome, but I hate him. Yep. This episode is too much.
Kane is Batwoman. You wanted her dead.
This is.
Am I?
Even if the seed of doubt is in there, it's gonna crush
Your
him.
last precious moments together, firing a gun at her. You got your wish,
For
Daddy.
now, at least, yep.
And she died knowing that her father hated her.
That was one of our last scenes with Kate, was her hating the fact that her dad would always hate part of her.
If you don't believe me, turn on the bat signal.
Now he's just letting Alice walk out.
Ryan! Batcave to Ryan! Batcave to Ryan! Someone coming for you. But he's actually a psychotic Arkham escapee who will kill anyone.
Yep, welcome to your new life.
You're not making it any better.
If it was Batman, you could just apologise and give him the suit back.
He wants the suit.
Take your hand and I'll toss it out the window.
No!
Here's a sentence I've never said before. Can you hack the Batmobile?
I'll try. So I didn't even know it was in here. I'm in.
Oof, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Ha, ha, ha. She's getting better on that. You're not Kate Kane.
You're not.
Oh my god, what? Yeah? Did it not go all the way through? Calm the rage, sweetheart. You have a lot of it in you. Kate did too. Oh wow.
We're good.
At least he's no longer impersonating Bruce Wayne. 10 out of 10 okay with this.
Divers still haven't found anything in the harbor.
Because Kate's not in there.
It's in charge. No one's giving up.
Dude, it's bigger than me. It's one thing to put it on and it's another thing to wear it.
Yep.
Like you said, Kate was a hero. I'm not.
You could be. You've suffered and you can fight through that.
This is what Kate left in her safe.
Oh.
I didn't read it.
I truly believe Kate's alive and out there. And if Ruby Rose is ever okay with making an appearance, could come back, but no. And surely they will notice that it's a new Batwoman. So he'll still potentially believe Alice and believe that he...
Wives. I'm telling you this because I know you'll figure it out eventually. And I want, because I love you. Because I want to protect you. And
This is
because I was
horrible.
scared that you would push me away.
I even feel bad for him. It was Sophia. Yep. Kate's alive. She got off the plane somehow, but she's pretending to be dead with Bruce. I hate that they all think Kate's dead. I hope she was just gonna like vanish and it wouldn't be like a car crash or a plane crash. You really should have let Mary take a look at that. Oh goodness.
What the hell was that?
It's the kryptonite. She's gonna get superpowers? Go find Mary. I guess Mary's something to distract her. Okay, so that was a lot. I'm feeling really sad. Like, I think if they'd had a string of people, like a longer string of sad scenes, I would be a hysterical sobbing wreck right now. Partly because I truly loved Kate Kane. I truly love Kate Kane, she's not dead. Partly because of how much I love Mary. And partly because, as much as I don't like Jacob Kane, there are so many, like, he just, whenever he's really sad about his daughters, it just gets me. Luke, I love Luke. Alice, I think a very small part of her, or some part of her, was genuinely mourning Kate. I am still sad that we're never going to kind of see the conclusion of that arc in the sense of, could she have done everything? Like, yeah, Kate betrayed her and wanted her to be imprisoned because she was a psychopathic murderer, but what would have happened when it came down to it? Would she have pulled back? Would she have called out, wait, don't do it, or, you know, who knows? But, oh, just... I think that was a brilliant episode. It was a fantastic start to the second season. It was a fantastic way to deal with what had happened. I would have rather it was just Kate vanished and they didn't know, kind of like with Bruce. But I can see why maybe they didn't want to have it be the same as what happened to Bruce, because we don't know what happened to Bruce. And we've had a couple of mentions of Robin, and this is just a side note. Was there a Robin in this universe? The fact that everyone mentions him means there was. Did he die? Where is he? Is he also missing with Bruce? But away from that side note, I hate the fact that, that plane crashed and Kate's suit was on it. Kate was recognised as getting on the plane and then it crashed. You would think she was, like... Every character is going to believe she was dead, as much as they're going to fight to believe she's not, because of course they are, and they're going to think, well, everyone believed Beth was dead and she wasn't. There's a fatal accident doesn't mean anything. Like, maybe Kate realised something was wrong at the airport, because like Luke said, there was a weather delay and then the plane took off. So if Sophia's people, I'm assuming it was Sophia rather, and she's not just taking advantage of this, they'll be like, hell, it was me. Especially she said we're even. But like, I'm guessing it's some kind of thing where like, during the weather delay, they were able to sabotage the plane somehow, do something to the plane that would sabotage it, and that was the significance of there having been a weather delay. And maybe Kate noticed and managed to get off the plane and is now in hiding. But, she would make... Yeah, she'd surely have made note of that. She'd have sent some kind of secret message to her family so they'd know. But, yeah, Kate's not dead, because I really care about her too much to accept that being the way. And yeah, I'm really sad. And I'm so sad because Mary lost her mum. Mary just got Kate, it was only over the last quarter of the season that Mary truly got to know Kate, truly got to see that Kate did love her. They truly got their connection, and she's had her snatched away. The only person she's got left in her family is Jacob bloody Kane, the worst member of the family. Honestly, no, Catherine was pretty awful too, but she was still Mary's mum. Jacob, he has his good points. I do think a lot of what he does thinking it's the right thing. He just also makes a lot of shitty choices too. But I loved how Mary was being strong for him and being like, I'm here, you're not alone, B, we're not giving up. I'm never going to let you lose hope. But I feel like Mary is currently being that person for everyone else. Like, she's helping Luke stay strong and keep hope, because Luke, blames himself for what happened there. Luke is still reeling from the fact that, his father's killer wasn't who he thought, and that he lost Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne was a mentor type friend, and he just vanished into thin air. Who knows where he is? So Luke was going through hell, and Mary was there for him. But there wasn't really a moment this episode where anybody was there for Mary. She did such a good job of keeping it together, of hiding how she was feeling, of putting on a brave face in front of everybody else, and then crumbling when she was alone. And that just gets me. I relate to that in a lot of ways, with staying strong around other people when they're struggling in a situation, and it's something I've had to fight to overcome, to sometimes when something terrible is happening, to let other people see that I am also suffering, because my instinct is just to hide it all, and to be as put together as possible. And that is something I will still do if there's a family emergency type situation. I don't want to make it worse for my mum or for anyone else, so I will try and hide. If there's a situation that's more just pretending to me being like upset and it doesn't affect anyone else, that's when I'm more able to show. So kind of in that way, I really do relate to how Mary was reacting in that moment, and I just, for her sake, I pray that she's gonna get someone to see her and hold her while she sobs, because Jacob is lost in his own world, and I'll get to him in a minute. Luke, I would like to think, could be that person. I think he truly was friends with Kate, but Mary they were siblings, and the fact that he's kind of had her there for him in this moment, that I hope they're going to be there for each other. I mean, last season I was starting to ship them, which Arrowverse, my ships in the Arrowverse never end well, but I was really starting to love them. But no matter what, I was loving their relationship, whether it was a friendship or not. So I really hope that they're going to be able to be there for each other going through it, and that maybe even Ryan could be someone Mary could lean on going forward. But obviously they need to build that relationship with Ryan. So my heart is absolutely breaking for Mary, but I'm also so proud of her for how strong she is staying, for how determined she is to commit to the fight. But you could see in that final moment we saw her that as much as she wants to keep that hope, as much as she's going to keep fighting and keep believing Kate is alive, there is a part of you that will always think the worst, especially given everything else she's lost, and my heart is breaking for her. So Luke, this episode, we definitely just, you know, he was Batman's guy in the chair. He lost him after having lost his father when he was years before, and then Kate, you know, kind of, she found her way into this world, he let it happen, he suggested, why don't you go and talk to Kara, and then she's dead. I mean, I get that A, Melissa was maternity leaving, B, COVID, you know, crossovers are a mess at the moment, and you can't just have this, like, it's not as simple as having little crossovers, but I really think that Kara would have, like, I don't know, you'd have texted Kara to be like, did she definitely get on the plane or something? And then Kara would have come and helped them search in a realistic world, given that they were all on the same planet. But also, it makes sense that it's a bit separate. But do we know, was Kara okay with them destroying the kryptonite or not? So yeah, I really miss Kate. I almost wish somehow Ruby Rose could have been in like 1 or 2 episodes, and somehow they could have passed the baton on to Ryan, rather than have her be missing, presumed dead. So my heart is broken for Mary, for Luke as well, him thinking, well, you know, Kate was like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to destroy it, Kara needs this, and I convinced her to go on the plane, etc. Like, that is a lot, given everything else, again, that Luke has lost in his life. I'm just glad he and Mary have each other. And I definitely can see that, as things stand, Mary is open to the idea of trying to get Ryan to be the new Batwoman, filling in, because the city needs Batwoman, the city needed Batman, you know, Kate doing it. It's like Ryan said, the suit is so much more than just a suit, it's so much more than just some cool armour. And I think that's why, in a way, a final, like, plus, in meaning that she's worthy to wear the suit, is that she doesn't think she is, if that makes sense. You know, someone like Tommy Elliott, who's like, oh, I should wear the suit, yeah, although even someone who thinks like, oh, I'm going to wear the suit and I'm going to be such a hero, I'm made for this, in that situation, especially when they just find it at the side of a plane crash, it's just not right. But someone that, you know, she put it on, she wanted her revenge, and you even saw when she was taking down Tommy Elliott, though I'll get to her in a minute. But from Mary's point of view, I think the fact that she can really, in some ways, relate to Ryan's story in the sense of mother dying in your arms because of Alice, and in so many other ways she can see that this is a woman, a person who life has just knocked down every chance it got. Like, it is so wrong that people can be treated that way by the justice system, by the world that we live in, especially in countries like the US, like here, where there are so many resources available, so much money and wealth around, and then you have people that are living lives struggling that much. And you know, at every hand she was dealt a terrible card, and when she'd put everything together, you know, she had a home with her mother, things were looking great, that was taken from her, and Alice was one of the ones responsible, and she was not able to save her mother. I can definitely see how Mary can see that while she is someone that if you just looked at the surface, ex-con, homeless, so many people would be just dismissive of that. But if you look under the surface, not only was she innocent, the reason that she's in this position is entirely out of her hands. And I think it's actually going to be really good for Ryan to be able to become Batwoman, to be able to kind of assert that control, because she's going to take back the power of her own life and her own decisions, because, you know, kind of like she said to her parole officer, she was totally powerless in the sense that because she's labelled as an ex-con who's homeless, she can't get a home, she can't get a job, she's stuck drowning in a way in her life. But you can see that she's not let it destroy her. You know, she's made that van she was living in homely. You know, yeah, no one should have to live in that van, but she made it feel like a real place, comfortable and as homely as it could be given what it was. And the fact that she chose to give the suit back, because she could have been like, continued down the path of, well, I've had everything taken from me, I'm going to keep going. I also love that she connected with Kate's story in the sense of she was able to see that, yeah, okay, I'm always going to be a bit like, oh sure, rich girl finds the Batcave, becomes Batwoman, sure, right, she was doing that for the right reasons. But when she really looked into Kate's life and she realised that she had faced prejudice and some discrimination, not on the scale of Ryan by any means, that kind of in that sense they were both fighting in the LGBT front, and that Kate had actually done things she'd called out the hypocrisy or just the nonsense of a military academy having a you can't be gay rule, that she'd put money into housing, that she'd made a gay bar, like that her real estate agency was even called Pride, you know, like I think it was just so, Kate really was able to do such important work in the short amount of time that she was there, and I like the fact that Ryan was able to connect and see past kind of instinctive prejudices, because yeah, I mean, I will joke eat the rich a lot, and I truly do believe that the rich people across the world should pay significantly more in taxes, because they would not notice that money going, and it would just there's like a lot of thoughts about rich people, but not all rich people are bad, you know, that is the truth. And just because someone is rich, you might judge them initially, but if you can see under the surface, in the same way that you could look at someone like Ryan and just have all of those like societal like, oh, ex-cons, they're all scum, but they're not. You know, I'm babbling a lot, but I love that she was able to kind of see past her own aims and her own goals, and I hate that was partly because she was like, well, I'm not a hero, but also because she was kind of thinking, well, I can't just take that suit, and I'm just really intrigued to see where her story goes next. But they did a really good job of connecting you with her character so quickly, you know, with her loss, with how she's going to be tied into the rest of the show. I initially was going to think it was going to be the Saphira, or whatever her name is, that had killed her mother, or had that caused the mother's death, because that would kind of, I feel like she's the big bad type of this season, for Alice and etc. But Alice being the one will really tie her in, she'll connect with Mary, like there's just so much story there. I love that Tommy Elliott is just out of the picture, pretending to be Bruce Wayne, just done. Do you feel a bit sorry for that actor? Because if he was going to get to be like in a more of an arc pretending to be Bruce Wayne rather than just one and done. But maybe Bruce Wayne will actually come back at some point, you know. But I really loved the way they did Ryan in this episode, the way we were able to connect with her, to see her pain, to see how easy it is in some ways to give in to the pain, in the same way that when Kate killed someone last season, you know, that was a dark moment for her because she gave into her pain and her anger. It's very easy to do that, but Ryan was able to kind of see herself doing that and realise that that wasn't who she wanted to be. And that's why I truly believe that becoming Batwoman, that forming connections with Mary and Luke and having people, I mean, Luke initially I think is going to be very resistant, largely just because he's not going to want anyone to take over Kate's role, because Kate's coming back and she's going to be Batwoman. I don't, you know, but being accepted by people and being able to make a difference is going to really, really be good for Ryan. Going forwards. And I feel like I'm all over the place because I kind of went from discussing Mary to her, but I really, really love Ryan already. It doesn't make me miss Kate any less. I kind of want both of them in the show somehow. And yeah, it's a lot. And the kryptonite. So initially I was like, oh, maybe because, you know, Kate's not around anymore, and kind of like how they shuffled off the Bruce Wayne plot, maybe they're just gonna be like, oh, well, you know, the suit stopped it enough, it's just a little scratch. That's good to know, and kind of move on, because like a lot of the show, like the arc they had planned for season 2 is obviously not going to happen the same way at all. But it did penetrate the suit, it did get into her bloodstream, and what is that going to do? I don't think it's going to make her Kryptonian, especially as, you know, kryptonite is bad for Kryptonians, but what is it going to do? I'm very intrigued on what's going to happen there. That is another good way of kind of putting her back in their lives, because if I was her, my first port of call would be Mary. And even if that's just back to I was gonna say Kane Tower, Wayne Tower, like I would be going to try and find Mary to be like, what is happening to me right now? Especially as, you know, and that might then lead to them kind of having more contact with her, and that will ultimately, I think, be the thing that keeps her there so that she becomes Batwoman. I don't think that Mary, with everything she was going through, as much as she had that moment of, well, she was a really good villain, like she could do it, I don't think Mary would have been in a position to want to go out and like hunt Ryan down and try and convince her, but I think this will be how the ball keeps rolling, and that's a really good way of doing it. Mary didn't, as much as she kind of had the idea of she did do a good job, you know, Kate's not here, but I'm really, really liking how they are dealing with the situation. Even if my preferred thing would have been recast Kate Kane, continue with the plot as you intended, they've done a really, really good job with making this a really crushing episode, but a way that works with bringing Ryan in. And Ryan is such a likeable character. I love her. Everything they said about how like brilliant she was in the role is just true. Like, I'm just already obsessed with her character. She's already one of my favourites. Well, okay, she's not quite one of my favourites, but only because she's only in one episode, but I can already see her joining Mary and Kate up in my favourites list. And Luke. Luke is like the just below tier of the favourites. Okay, so then other characters. Tommy Elliot, I'm glad he's back in Arkham. I'm glad he's not managing to pretend to be Bruce Wayne anymore. I mean, it's something. That was a good plotline by all means. When I'm like, I don't like it, I was enjoying it. But it's just one of those plotlines that just makes you feel icky. I hate when people don't know and they don't realise. And I love that Julia was able to realise. Obviously, Luke could have discussed random things with him like that and found out too. Every moment that he was there impersonating Bruce Wayne was tricky, but it just depends. Luke was obviously dealing with a hell of a lot on his mind right now. So the thing like him not wanting to open the Batcave, you just think, oh, okay, he's making a weird Bruce statement. Whereas for Julia, it's only natural that she would mention her uncle, because he is her uncle, right? Yeah, that she would mention her uncle, and that would then be like, wait, why didn't you recognise that name? And then plant the seed. You know, I think if Luke had been randomly like, oh, Alfred wants you to message, or like, you know, kind of a similar thing could have happened with Luke, but he just wouldn't mention him in the same way. But I like that we just got him dealt with, that his face came off, he's in Arkham, done. I mean, I'm sure he'll be kind of in it again in some way, I don't know, but the man behind Luke's dad's death, or the man that killed Luke's dad, is gone again, which is good. Then Alice. I have such a complicated thing with Alice, because I know that she's a lot of people's favourite character, but she can never become my favourite character while she's evil. Like, I struggle with making bad people my favourite characters. I love her, she's a fantastic villain. I by no means want the show to get rid of her, but what I was rooting for last season was a long arc of her redemption. I don't think it could have been a quick thing, and I think that would have made her even more fascinating, would have been, can she come back from this? But the way they're going now, my answer right now is no. Despite everything, she's still just, oh, there's a woman, bam, she's dead. You know, like, why did you do that? She didn't even say, oh, she saw me. She was like, no reason. That, like, Alice is so evil that anyone that is like, she's my favourite character, she's the best part of this show, like, she's a fantastic part of this show, and I agree, she's one of the best parts of the show, but she's so terrible. Like, I really don't see any redemption for her, and I do think a small part of her was genuinely mourning Kate, but I think most of her was just mourning her revenge plan got stopped. And that's one of the things I think I mentioned earlier in my rambling review. I really am interested in what would have happened in that arc. Would she have gone back to feeling remorseful over Kate or caring about Kate? Is Kate locking Alice up? I get that a lot of people were like, I hate Kate now. But the truth of the matter is, Alice is a serial killer who has shown very little, if to no remorse over it. She does deserve to be locked up. Now, I think Arkham Asylum needs a massive overview and change into being a very real asylum, or maybe Alice should even just go to like a maximum security prison. But like, yeah, Arkham needs a lot of stuff done to it. It is not a good place. I do not agree with how things are done there, but the alternative would be Alice on the streets. That is not okay either. So yeah, I do think that as much as Alice is an absolutely fantastic villain, any show where they keep one villain around for like 10 seasons, the villain gets a bit stale, or just the plot of the villain gets a bit forced, because Alice has to keep doing plans that fail, plans that fail, plans that fail. Now for right now, still a fantastic part of the show. She will want revenge on the person that killed her sister and took her revenge plan away from her. There's a lot more story to tell with Alice. I do not think by any means, you know, her story is over, but if Batwoman is going to run as long as Arrow did, as long as the other shows have done, Alice can't stay such a major part if she's just a villain. That's why I was rooting for redemption, because I was like, that will be an interesting arc, have ups and downs, and will take many seasons. So I'm intrigued about where that's going to go. I just was like, oh, my headphone. The reason I can't feel it is because it fell out. I don't know how long Alice's story can have. It can definitely have season 2, potentially into season 3, but much more than that. I mean, you know what? I was not happy when they announced they were going to recast or get a new character to be Batwoman, because I was like, it's just much better if you recast, and I was really happy with how they did it. I still would have liked a recasting, but I'm in love with Ryan. I think she's a brilliant character, so I'm excited. Anyway, back to Alice. I don't know that she's got 7 seasons worth in her as a bad guy. She's a fantastic bad guy. She's even more of the role. She's lost Mouse. She's got to reform her plan, but her plan now, revenge on the person that killed Kate. You know what? Bringing down this criminal empire sounds good to me. Getting them in prison sounds good to me. Alice obviously will want to kill them. But she got part of her revenge in she was able to tell her dad, Kate was Batwoman, you treated her like shit, you were horrible to her, you know, she reached out to you time and again as Batwoman. Kate even advocated for Batwoman, I'm pretty sure, and he was like, no, she should die. The last time you saw her, you were shooting at her, you know, kind of, it was a big deal for him. The fact that Batwoman, like when Bruce Wayne was like, terrorist, he was like, Batwoman? Alice? Like, he's so anti-Batwoman that in that moment, I think you could see, as much as he was saying, I mean, initially when he was like, yeah, I'm the Joker, he didn't believe her, but when she kept talking and kept kind of pointing things out, I think there was that part of him, the reason he went and did that bat signal was because he kind of believed it was true. And so for him now, he's got to mourn or be grieving over not knowing where his daughter is and thinking she's dead, and also knowing that there was this huge burden between them that he didn't even know was between them, that kind of, and as we know, that very recently, like not long before she got on that plane to National City, Kate was crying and upset because he hated her and wanted her dead. That's just even more messy for him. And like I said, Jacob Kane does get me with how he cares about his daughters. Oh my god, there's not a headphone there, that's why you can't feel it. I'm going mad. That was really, really tough to watch, like, him knowing that. And he's not going to lose that, surely, because, yeah, Batwoman is going to turn up again, because Ryan is going to become Batwoman, but people aren't going to think it's the same Batwoman, surely, because you can see enough of her face to see that it's someone different, and that will mean that for him, he's not going to be able to be like, oh cool, it wasn't Kate, all good. He's still going to think it was Kate. And similarly, I wonder if he's going to have, I think it will go one of 2 ways. One way will be, he will be pro Batwoman because Kate was, because it used to be Kate, it's Kate's legacy, he'll want to like work with her or kind of right the wrong he made with Kate, or he'll be like, that was my daughter, you are destroying her legacy, or you don't have the right to do that, that was my daughter. Like, I'm intrigued about where his character will go with that next, over the course of this season. And then Sophie and Julia, seeing them mourn, you know, they both loved Kate. Julia, it was in more of a kind of, they once loved each other and they loved each other, now Delia is just, you know, friends. And for Sophie, I mean, they were endgame, that's what the show was setting up. And I think Sophie was still, at the end of the last season, she was in a place where she wasn't ready to jump into a kind of relationship with Kate, especially not one that would be kind of soulmatey or, you know, like serious relationship. She was still, you know, I was so proud of her journey last season, but like she was still coming to terms with being open about who she is, with her sexuality, with being able to kind of feel free in that, and acknowledging the love she has for Kate, and that maybe she made mistakes. And for her now, I think she'll be feeling like she's lost that chance to ever make right those mistakes. And even if she's no longer in love with Kate, and what she'd have wanted to do was to say to her, I'm sorry, I should have gone with you, like, I don't know, I feel like she's really missed the chance to connect with Kate in a way that she would have wanted to, because that was only beginning at the end when last season ended. And that letter, finding out she was Batwoman and seeing how much love and faith Kate had for her was just so much, because Kate, you know, in that letters, you know, saying that she loved her, that she knew she kind of probably always had that feeling, etc. And just, it's crushing to me. I'm wondering if Julia is going to stick around, if they're going to make a sort of Sophie Julia thing long term, or not. But, oh, it was just, crushing in so many ways. And I suppose if I don't know if will she confirm it to Jacob that yes, she definitely was. So my heart is in tatters right now. That was a really heartbreaking episode, and I really just wanted it to be that Kate had just vanished into smoke like Bruce Wayne, and then people could think, well, that she was probably alive, but just it kills me that they're all gonna think she's dead. And you know, there will be an explanation for how she isn't dead, but at the same time, you can see how people might start to lose hope because. And is there CCTV footage of her getting off the plane again in National City? But no, this was an absolutely fantastic start to this season. I was scared. I mean, obviously, when Ruby Rose left, it was crushing because I love Kate Kane and she was the main character. I wanted a recasting, I'll say it time and again. That was my perfect view because then the show could continue, the relationships we cared about can continue. And, you know, you just make a little, like, dig about how her hair is different. But I can also see why they wouldn't have wanted to do that because the relationships would have felt different. The acting, you could never, like, would the actress have had to kind of be, like, try and do Ruby Rose impersonation? Like, I can see why they wouldn't have wanted to do that. And I think they've done a really good job with it. I'm glad that Kate is not confirmed dead because I would have maybe potentially even turned off the show. Kate cannot die, especially not off screen. Like, she's out there somewhere as far as I'm concerned, and we will figure out what's happening with her eventually. And yes, I don't care if they recast her for that, that's fine. She can be recast to be like, oh, I lost my memory. And also, now I have it back, but I am no longer capable of Batwomaning. I'm off to live in Florida. Bye. I don't know. But this was just a really brilliant episode. Mary is shattering me. Luke is shattering me. Even Jacob Kane is shattering me. I am so intrigued by Ryan. Can't wait to know more and what the Kryptonite's going to do to her. And yeah, I'm so glad Batwoman is back. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I hope you did too. And if you would like to watch the unedited version of this reaction, you can find it on my Patreon. And yeah, thank you so, so much for watching. Batwoman's back.